Hello, everyone. This is Pastor Kathy, and it is my privilege to be able to come and share with you in this January 2021 edition from Shiloh's Life School. Um, this particular title, our first of many to come, is A Lifestyle of Love. And we will take the next 15 minutes and have a conversation around this notion of a lifestyle of love. I invite you to get your Bible, to get a something to write with, something to journal with, to be present and available for our conversations. And I invite you to see what this is going to be like for you to make this material your own. So let's go on the journey, why don't we? Right. So Deuteronomy 6 and 5, it's where we get the first and the foremost commandment. And so here we are. It says, 6 and 5 says, and you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. When asked about this particular commandment in the New Testament, we find it in Mark 12, and basically the conversation starts in 28, where one of the teachers of the religious laws asked Jesus, he said, of all the commandments, which is the most important? And this is Jesus's response. The most important commandment is this: listen, O Israel, the Lord our God is the one and only Lord, and you must love the Lord your God with all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your mind, and all of your strength. This, beloved, is the first and foremost commandment. With that as our backdrop, I want you to consider for a moment, what is it like for you? Get someone in your mind who you love. When you think of that person, your heart just really fills up. A smile comes to your face. You feel lighter because there's so much joy with that comes with loving that person. And so what is it that you won't do for that person? When you have when you hear their voice, when it's time to have a conversation with that person, what is it that happens inside of you, right? So there's little that we won't do for that person. We really find our way, ourselves looking forward to engaging with, like when you look at that picture, right? These two people derive sheer joy from being in each other's presence. We want to please and make those that we love happy, right? We want to please them and make them happy. And when we think about it, imagine that person giving us appreciation. So we go to them and we say, I accomplished this. And to hear them say, I'm pleased, to hear them say, wow, I'm so proud of you, to hear them say, well done. It's such joy that we receive from that accomplishment, right? So I wanted to take that, give you that picture so you can so we can have this experience of love. The idea that love is dynamic. So there's an exchange and interchange that happens between you and that person all the time, because love is not static. Love is most motivational, it's not suppressive. So when you're with that person, you're able to be yourself, you're able to just show up, you don't have to pretend, you're able to give your best. They motivate you to give your best, even if your best on one day is a 1 and the next day it's a 10. They motivate you because they accept you right where you are. They're like the fuel in your tank, or the wind in the sail in your wind. They're the kind of people, and it's those kinds of relationships that motivate us to be the best people, the best person, the best believer, however we want to frame ourselves, that we can be. And so we want to know, we want that kind of relationship with Jesus Christ, the kind of relationship that when we engage him, right? When we engage him, that it is normal for us. So our love desire, a love desire to please Christ, is not something extra for us as Christians, right? When we think about that other relationship we were just talking about, we don't have to do anything extra in order to love that person. We don't have to do anything extra. It comes natural. It feels natural. It's like breathing. Not loving them will cost us something. Not loving them is hard, right? So a love desire to please Christ is not something extra for us, right? At least, at least we strive to get to that place. A love relationship with Christ, it's basic to Christian sanctity. It's basic to us being, to our being. It's basic to our existence. It's basic to who we are. It is not a dessert, but it's the main course, beloved. It's not a sideshow. It's the main tent. It's not a motive to which we can resort to when it's convenient. It is a controlling force to which we have committed our lives. To love Jesus Christ, right, is an everyday, ever pressing goal. To love him more, to have a more intimate personal relationship with Jesus Christ. That's the goal, because transformation comes from knowing him. The Apostle Paul said, that I might know him, the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his suffering, being made conformable to his death, right? That we might know Jesus Christ. And to know him, beloved, is to love him. And so this is a journey. Transformation is a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. And so a desire is that his smile is singularly our greatest delight. For Jesus to say, well done, and not well done, right? Imagine living each day from a place of well done. Imagine living each day from this place of well done, my good and faithful servant. Well done in rising, well done in being, well done in being who I've created you to be. Well done. And so then the question becomes, well, let's put it like this. We can't love God in this way on our own. We need God's divine help, because by nature we are self-centered and carnally driven. That's just the humanity part of us. We have a spirit part, and that's the part we need, the Holy Ghost to help us. Initially, we may be unwilling or unable to make the shift to self, from self to Christ. The question is, are you willing to become willing? Right? So this is the question. Are you willing to become willing? Because wherever you are on the continuum of loving God, there's so much more. Wherever you are on this continuum to be in deep, intimate relationship with Christ, there's a next step. There's a deeper, there's a broader, there's a more expansive way. Wherever you are, God has so much more for us. My question is, are you willing to be willing to grow? Are you willing to be willing to transform? Are you willing to be willing to make the shift? Because sometimes we're not willing. Sometimes we're not willing. Sometimes we don't want the growth. That's just real talk. Sometimes we don't want the extra that it's going to take, the extra prayer, the extra fasting, the extra reading, the extra doing walking away from some things that have become common and comfortable, but there are hindrance to our growth. Sometimes we don't want it. So my question becomes, are you willing to become willing? So I'm not even asking you to be willing right now. My question is, are you willing to become willing? Because it is there, beloved. This is the soil that God needs for transformation to occur. Your willingness to become willing. And so, as we think about this notion of forward actions, right? As we think about moving forward, beloved, I invite you to dive deeper into our conversation here, to dive deeper. And one of the ways of diving deeper is that you have just a journal sheet, right? You have a journal sheet, a handout, if you will, that asks you 3 questions from our brief conversation, from our journey through this Shiloh's Life School, our first contribution to it, or our first session, or our first, I don't know, our first of it, our first conversation around it. As we talk about moving forward, right? As we talk about moving forward in 2021, first of all, the first prompt asks you, what is your takeaway? What is God saying to you specifically? Because each one of us will hear something different. So, what is He saying to you? What is your primary takeaway from our conversation together? Secondly, I ask you, what will it take for you to be willing to be willing? What will it take for you to be willing to be willing to take the next step that you're invited to? Because God is inviting each one of us to some different step. What will it take for you to be willing to take immediate action, to take immediate forward action? What will it take for you to be willing to take immediate forward action? And I'm just asking you to apply what it is that we've just talked about, to make those applications. And then the next question, and then the next prompt says, share what it will take with someone who will not let you off the hook of being the best version of you. Share with someone who won't just smile at you and say you're great, who won't just smile at you and give you a pat on your back, but share with someone who's going to hold you accountable, beloved, for the brilliant person that you are, for the amazing person that you are, for your next best version. Share with somebody who's going to pull you right to your next best version. Share with them. And then the other action step is, for the next 30 days, each morning when you arise, ask Abba God, how can I love you better today? Father, how can I love you better today? How can Kathy, how can I say your name? How can I love you better today? And what I know for sure about our Father is He will give you an answer that's unique to you, has nothing to do with anyone else. Beloved, this has been Pastor Kathy in our first edition, first session, first contribution of our life school. And we will have these each month. Each month, we will have a very brief conversation around loving and purpose, right? How do we love ourselves to purpose? How do we love God to purpose? How do we love one another to purpose? Sparring one another on to love. I love you so. I love you so tremendously. This has been a lifestyle of love. I love you. I value you. I appreciate you. This has been Pastor Kathy. Have an amazing day.